Welcome back to the Otherside podcast. I'm Geshe.
And I'm Leon. Just before we start the episode, have to do a little disclaimer. We are not medical professionals. We're not doctors. We cannot give you advice. Always do your own research.
Enjoy the episode, guys. This podcast, we've got the guys from Leafie. Liam?
Yep.
Kevin?
Yep.
Welcome to the shop. If you guys just want to jump in and start explaining your business.
Yeah, so we're Leafie. We're a magazine discussing the kind of change in perception of cannabis, psychedelics, and surrounding culture. We've been running for 4 years. We started off as a kind of an online magazine to promote the kind of benefits of CBD, kind of like these guys are doing. And also after we've grown and kind of got more of an audience, we kind of branched out into the world of cannabis and psychedelics. Cannabis, psychedelics, and culture for the curious is the strapline. But yeah, I've been around 4 years. Find us at leafie.co.uk. Got to get the plug in there.
Actually, what socials you're on?
So everything, everywhere at Team Leafie, and it's leaie.co.uk or Team Leafie. So yeah, get on there.
I think it's probably pretty obvious, but name origin, how did you come across Leafie?
So we initially started talking about launching a CBD brand. This was back in what, 2018, 17?
Yeah, no, 2018.
And so my background's in marketing. I'm not going to bore you with all my work experience, but essentially we were looking at launching a CBD brand, and at the time, most people were just buying like one or two different types of oil in bulk, right? And they were putting it in the same bottle with a different label on, and they were pumping it out. There was no differentiation. So we looked at that and we're like, this is bullshit. Like, short of getting like a 500k R&D grant or development like investment from someone, we're not going to be able to do anything different to anyone else. But because my background's in marketing, I was looking at it. I was like, right, well, how do we sell this stuff when we've got it? And there's all the problems around social media and advertising CBD, even though there shouldn't be. So we looked into it and we realised that there was actually like kind of a bit of a problem in that there was people were getting like kind of aware of CBD, but there was very, very little information out there, right? So long story short, I got my dad on CBD for a health problem. It really helped him. But the information I needed was either in medical journals or it was on blogs run by kind of guys who were well into cannabis culture, like stoner blogs, like kind of very kind of cannabis leaf orientated. But like I was thinking, like if I want to send that to like my nana, she's not going to read that. She's going to think I've got to go meet a guy and test her cardboard, right? So we saw this kind of this problem that brands couldn't reach customers.
We've been on a bit of a similar journey,
and customers weren't getting the information they needed. So that was kind of the background behind Leaf. We started off just doing the CBD thing, and then we kind of got into obviously cannabis and psychedelics.
Were you a smoker before that?
So yeah. So let's all be honest, right? The cannabis industry is exciting, and in 5 years, 5 years ago when we were doing this, 5 years like legalization, 5 years, and and obviously Kevin's a massive cannabis fan.
Yeah.
I couldn't think of anyone else in the world that I know to start a cannabis-related brand.
And a cannabis patient.
And obviously a cannabis patient.
Like old school friends.
Yeah, we've known each other for, what?
The year 2000.
2000, right?
Yeah, the year 2001 when you were pushing on sacrilege in London.
Yeah.
Open from 3 a.m. till 9 a.m. No alcohol served. Yeah, so we know each other from hedonistic days.
Way back.
Not that the days aren't hedonistic anymore.
They're still hedonistic.
Yeah, of course.
Slightly less.
Just that now we've got children.
You get sleep.
Where are you guys from then? Whereabouts?
Yeah, Nottinghamshire originally. I said Derbyshire, Nottinghamshire. I was born in Cornwall, but
Yes.
all over. As I said, now I've got flat in Notting Hill, rented. Obviously, can't afford to own a flat in Notting Hill.
So you're local to us, at least?
Yeah, they're just down the road. I walk here. I love walking here. Roll a spliff, walk down here, come and get my supplies,
We were talking earlier, there's people that that I know that I've known for years as well.
Exactly. There's a scene here.
Definitely a little mini scene in the west of London, yeah.
No, I've been coming in since I've been coming to London for the past 8-9 years. There's nothing like this place. It's famous. It's a famous shop. You've got to come here. The products, the service. I recommend anyone to come here, even if it's just for a tourist thing.
On a Saturday, Saturday afternoon, it's packed with tourists, and it's like proper tourist street. You see some of them look at it like, what the hell?
Am I allowed to go in there?
You don't really find space like this anymore in London. Everyone's become so kind of like...
You don't find places like this anywhere. Or Manchester used to have places like this. Not even, IS9's still there, but down Hockley, it used to be this was like tattoo shops, head shops, everything. But like you say, everything's just kind of getting just becoming this. Everything's a Starbucks.
That's the one thing that we've been trying to push in here is like,
Stuff you can't get elsewhere.
Yeah.
That's
and
the aim.
like going back to what you're saying about CBD, like back in the day, like seeing bottles and they're all the same, and no one knows what you're buying, and you don't know what's inside it, and go online and you don't know what you're asking or what kind of questions you should be saying. So having the shop it's really key to be able to speak to customers direct, and they can come in and say, what should I buy for this product or this problem? Sorry,
Yeah.
and we can go through products like human to human, face to face. Everyone's on this ordering online. It just doesn't work with certain products.
Yeah, it's difficult to find a place where you can actually talk to people.
Yeah.
Because even just now, I only just about understand certain like bits and bobs.
What shall I use for this or what shall I use for that? And and they're always going to ask you something that you never heard of, and you have to go and read up about it. And
We've been publishing for 4 years, right? And still, things come up, and I'm like, no fucking way. Like, where's this come from? Or, I mean, it's been around for years, but we're still learning, like everyone is. Because, and the reason being is, a lot of the stuff that we're learning has been kind of, until the internet came along, it's been underground.
it's because of the anti-drug laws.
But not just that. With most other modern day medications, the research has been going on from Victorian times, the start of the century, 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s. Cannabis and psychedelics scientific research has only just started. We're 50, 60, 70, 80 years behind the rest of medicine.
Imagine what there is to find.
Considering the potential of these drugs,
Imagine what there is to buy.
there's so much more to come. And that's why there's so much money being
The fact that the ECS isn't taught in medical school yet, right? I mean, that's how far behind we are. Like, this thing exists in our body. It's an important part of our body, and it regulates so much shit that goes on in our body. And most doctors don't even fucking know about it.
Endocannabinoid system. So that means we've got a system within our bodies that can respond to different cannabinoids, THC being one of them, CBD,
and produce its own cannabinoids.
and produce its own cannabinoids.
Anandamide, which is named after the Sanskrit word for bliss.
But yeah, look up the endocannabinoid system. It's really, really interesting shit.
Great article on it on Leafie.
It's apt that we spoke about this because the guy him and his team in the University of Jerusalem, they discovered the endocannabinoid system in
Come on.
1980.
But that's how it's in living memory that we're discovering this shit. Whereas morphine and everything else, it's been around for
Morphine was isolated in 1810.
So we're all still learning. Even the people who are teaching us are still learning. It's a great place to be.
It's ever evolving as well. I mean,
You know why they suppressed it for so long though? Is because people are going to realize that with adaptogenic mushrooms, cannabis, all different natural things that are just there in nature, that you can fix all your issues that you have right now with just things you could grow in your house.
Yeah.
And diet.
What is going to happen to our economy? It's flooding collapse because half of it is supposed to be pharmaceutical.
But it's mad how everyone comes back to these things. So, kind of like the 60s and 70s when, kind of the world was on the precipice of nuclear destruction, everyone turned to hallucinogenics and, hippies went back to nature and living simple lives. It does when the world's kind of puts the pressure on humanity, it goes, right, let's go back to
normality.
Let's go back to the plants. Fuck all this, medicinal bullshit.
The amount of websites I see, I'm quite interested in myself, off grid living and stuff like that. Just becoming such a big thing. Everyone, they're trying to buy any bit of land anywhere. People, you can just tell
Hermit's Cave's up to saying in Dale Abbey, £60,000 for us. Yeah, so it's a woodland with a cave where a monk went and lived for 9 years or something, called Hermit's Cave, and 60,000. That's just a few
not
months
bad.
rent here. Right? We should buy it. We should have it as
Turn it into an
it's real safe. You probably could turn an Airbnb.
But yeah, I guess we kind of just to finish off with who you guys are, what you guys are about. Kind of just interested in what's your morals, what's your views, what are you trying to push with Leafie?
What we don't want to be is the generic stoner magazine. Nothing against what everyone else does. We just want to do something different. We didn't want to do the girls with big boobs and like that. Nothing about
the website is clean. The website is clean and it's nice.
We're aimed at more the discerning. We're aimed at everybody, but we want to be factual.
Yeah.
So yeah,
And we want to be a media outlet that people can trust, they can come to get their information.
So the whole thing about For the Curious, I mean, where that came from is I consume weed most days, right? So, but I'm not a stoner. Like, I don't get up in the morning. I can't skin up. I've never skinned up because I never smoked tobacco. So when everyone was at school smoking joints and had tobacco in, I was like, I can't touch that because I'm not going to start getting hooked on cigarettes, right? So I skip straight to bowls, right? And like now, I've got packs, I've got edibles, and they're my choices of cannabis consumption, right? But I've got loads of friends who like maybe smoked a little bit of weed at uni, probably didn't learn to skin up, or maybe skinned up badly, got kind of grew up, went to work, stopped smoking weed because they were pursuing careers. And now they're like kind of in their 30s, 40s, they're all stressed, they're drinking a bottle of wine every night. And I'm like, have a 10 milligram gummy and that will change your life. And then they do, and they're like, fuck drinking a bottle of wine every night, fuck drinking a bottle of gin every weekend. So the idea is for the curious, like we want to bring people in who've kind of maybe not embedded in the culture. As Kev says, there's plenty of room for publications that, get real in depth about strains and kind of, all that stuff. That information already exists. But I think there are hundreds and thousands of people in the UK, if not millions, of people who want to know a little bit more about cannabis because they've had a bit of exposure to it when they were younger, or they are just literally like, look, I have parties at uni, and I'm not against it, or I've made my mind up. I don't believe what's in the Daily Mail. I believe the facts out there. So they need a bit more information to make educated choices about what's right for them. They need to know like the highs and the lows, the goods, the bads. Make choices that are right for them and get the information without bias. And that's kind of what we're trying to do. We're trying to, and also by doing that, what we're trying to do is bring kind of, cannabis culture, which can feel quite closed and kind of, not elitist, but, like if you're on the outside looking in, you're like, well, I don't know. So like we need to cater for the people who kind of want to know a little bit more about that. But what they need to do is get the facts to make the right decisions and obviously kind of look after themselves and actually take advantage of like, the plants that could benefit them, whether it's cannabis, whether it's CBD, whether it's psilocybin, or whether it's kind of like an adaptogenic mushroom blend that, that just gets them through the day. In the US, like loads of places in Canada, the biggest growth markets have been kind of beverages and things like that, and gummies, because it's the same sort of people. Like, I don't want to sit there and smoke like a fucking 2.5 gram joint because I'll just be wiped out. I want a 10 milligram gummy because I know that it's 10 milligrams. I can go, right, 10 milligrams is good for me, or 5 or 20.
They can make a manage.
Yeah, so there's a huge market for this kind of, kind of informed, conscious like choice of consuming substances that have been vilified. But now actually people are realizing, what, actually all the stuff we've been told is a lie, and I want some information about that.
Your readership, what kind of people are they, do you think?
I mean the demographic is wide. We have from kind of 18 up to 55. It probably sits somewhere in the middle of like mid 20s to mid 40s.
On 55% male.
Yeah, squeeze about 55% male, which again, the biggest growing consumers of cannabis are Gen Z women, right? This is a fact, especially in America, but in the UK as well. Whereas kind of like a lot of the traditional cannabis media, as Kev said, caters for kind of like bros, like young lads, spending their wages on, kind of like, filling big zoos because they want to show up to the maze on.
That's what I was asking.
There's a huge uncatered for people, who are consuming cannabis and want to consume cannabis or psychedelics, and no one's writing for them. So that is where we were like, right.
Also, a lot of the negative association with cannabis isn't necessarily like systematic either. Like, it's also because it does go alongside a lot of like, because it's illegal, it's automatically in a world of crime straight away. That kind of scares people off weed in itself. And they're like, I don't want to be like that person.
And this is exactly what Hank is trying to do.
It's not all about getting as high as possible. Yeah, possible.
Well, that's what we're trying to do by changing the perception.
We're trying to break those associations. You can enjoy a spliff without breaking any laws, without causing anyone any harm. There's no victims if you're rolling a joint and smoking it.
Right, look at Barcelona and Spain, their cannabis social culture.
The model out there, yeah.
It's beautiful, right? We were there last weekend for Spellevis. We were in this club. We've been to loads of clubs in Barcelona, but we were in this one club. It was called Green Boutique, and it was really nice. Kind of, it was the sort of place to pay 15-20 quid for a cocktail, but it was reasonably priced. The vibe in there was amazing. It was beautifully decorated, low key, nice music on. I was like, we were filming something else, and I was like, getting the camera, like, look at this. This is what the UK would have if we actually allowed it. It wouldn't be this perception of just like use on the corner, like mugging grannies. It would actually just be civilized people smoking joints in a nice.
It's the same way people are cool about people going to the pub or a bar. You're going there to do your thing. Why can't we go do our thing?
Nice people having a nice time in a nice club doesn't fill the headlines of the Daily Mail. Like, youth fighting outside weed den You know, that sells like sell vapors. It gets clicked, right?
Just touched on something I actually want to like pick back up on. Is Spannabis.
Yeah.
So you just went to Spannabis, yeah? How was that?
Great time.
Wow.
I mean, he was in his element.
Your first time?
No, so we went the ill-fated 2020 when it was had sort of the last second.
Watch Barcelona just sit down, that flight out of town. I mean, I've got to get in because it was the most ridiculous thing I've ever seen. We were in the airport leaving, and like everyone's obviously a little bit scared about this virus, and there's like all these people wearing masks. Anyway, Spannabis.
We went 2020, and then it was your 40th last year, and you were in.
Yeah, I was in Vegas last year, so
I went. And it was really good, but it was raining. We didn't get as much business done. And Liam and I went this year. Sun was shining. It was 25 degrees on the Saturday. Which
The 2 times I've been, it was roasting. I had like queuing up to get in, and everyone's just sweating. Everyone's already stoned.
yeah,
You get into that open courtyard, kind of like down on the outside. It was like mayhem, but yeah,
it was brilliant, and we made so many connections.
I bet.
I mean, we ran out of time. Like, we need to be there for longer. We need to kind
You
of
need it like a couple of days before, or a week if you can, and a few days after, because it's nice. There's a little build up to it. There's little parties going on. There's like events going on in different
went
clubs.
to a few different.
Yeah, we went.
Afterwards, there's always like the afters, but
Yeah, it was crazy. I mean, a few people who've been quite a few times said it was a really good one this year. But I mean, it's just great. And again, it's just one of them things. You know, like look at what we could have. We could have this. It could be nice. People just chilling out.
have you guys had any mad hoops you have to jump through for the magazine?
All of them, man. I mean,
The socials hate us. They don't want our money.
It's
We
ridiculous.
try to give them money. Come on, Mark, take our money, mate.
We try so hard to get their money.
before even Eon came along and said he was going to make it all 420 friendly, we were pushing the articles through paid on Twitter, doing all right. As long as they're not, I mean, the only times we had pushback from them was this ad's too political. So if we were talking about like a campaign or like a charity sort of thing, or like raising like the plight of like a patient who's suffering, right, they were like, no, they were the ones that they were coming back on, like, here's a guy to renew cannabis system. Like, yeah, fucking get it on, man. So Twitter obviously have changed their tune. I mean, LinkedIn, right?
LinkedIn's by far the best.
Really?
Yeah, but for us especially, like, we've made some good connections. Like, met people that can bring us, like, obviously like journalists and writers coming to us.
Business-wise,
It's just Facebook and Instagram, man. It's just a night.
LinkedIn doesn't shut us down.
No.
Facebook is... So, the cafe that opened in my village, and the village has got about... Can't have any more than 2,000 inhabitants. Before they even opened, they had like 4 times the amount of likes. But we had, and we're worldwide, and we've been going for 4 years.
I mean, Instagram, we're doing okay now, but again, we were in the wilderness for ages. I mean, like, we just keep getting notifications like this content goes against our guidelines. Like, we're not selling anything. We're an educational platform. But like, I said earlier, we're arguing with an algorithm. No one's picking these emails up.
When we actually get through to a human, they allow it.
Man, have you ever spoken to a human?
Well,
We did have a little period when we first started. We were doing the ads, and like eventually we got the account shut down because the algorithm did the same thing. Like, algorithm would say this is wrong, we'd appeal it, wrong, appeal it again, yeah, then it got through, and then like that would happen. And eventually, I think what they thought we were doing was we had some sort of cheat mode, or we were gaming the system, because it was like, you've been banned for circumnavigating our rules. Like, no, I've not just been asking to speak to someone. But yeah, I mean,
we got our thing got blocked like 5. Like literally, 6 years ago, we got the shop. Whatever, a few months later, got the Facebook account locked off straight away. We tried to just do sponsor posts on some CBD product.
Yeah, so that's it.
And then it was like, you cannot even appeal this anymore. You can't even speak to a person. This is being underlined like that.
Yeah.
And since then, ad account managers been blocked.
But you see it all the time with like kind of like Double Blind magazine in America, like big on psychedelics, and like like Field Trip and all those kind of companies, and they they're operating in legitimate space, and like even within the country that Facebook's from, and they lose their accounts all the time, and then they have to put appeals out, and they're at like 50, 100K.
but the Guardian and the Mail come and write anything they want about cannabis.
Yeah.
Psychedelic. We don't write anything different
They don't. Yeah.
to what they write on cannabis and psychedelics, but they don't get their account shut down, do they?
That's crazy.
They got in by no people.
The hypocrisy surrounding it, the hypocrisies in the industry are crazy. Like, it's from the socials to like even just where products are based in certain high street shops.
Look at the CBD industry, right?
Yeah.
Well, I guess we're kind of like touching on what we also wanted to talk about. Like, also now you've been to Spannabis and you're like fresh back from everything there. Like, how are you thinking? Like, what are you thinking of the UK scene right now for cannabis? Like, what? Like, I mean, we were just touching on points about it now.
So where's it going? What are we doing? What is it?
It's still so underground, isn't it?
Well, it's funny, right? So when we started Leafie, we were on the tail end of kind of a lot of activism, right? And then, like, obviously, when medical cannabis came in, I think a lot of people went, right, our work's done.
Yeah, we
Right. The cannabis smoking cannabis is legalized, everything will follow. And obviously what happened was nothing happened, you know, apart from private clinics popping up. And if you can afford cannabis to be, you know, if you've got money, you're legal. And if you're poor, you're a criminal, right?
What happened was GW Pharmaceuticals happened. They just weren't allowed to talk about it because of conflict of interest.
Yeah.
They weren't allowed to discuss cannabis in Parliament for like 3 years or something. And then the drugs minister had to change. That's when they could start rediscussing it in Parliament again.
Yeah.
Yeah, they've had the license since 1998. They were the first cannabis group.
It's a joke.
This license. They sold to JW Pharmaceutical, Just Pharmaceuticals,
Yes.
for 7.2 billion in 2020. Was it?
So crazy.
But yeah, it seems there's like a little underbubbling of activism starting up again. Like people are like, right, actually,
This was the one we wanted.
yeah, this isn't what we were promised, and this is what we expected. So, I mean, we had a few conversations at Spannabis actually about things that are going on. People are, you know, kind of getting behind, obviously. You know, there's kind of a bit of a movement to kind of get like patient activism moving again. Because, as I say, for me, that like one of the biggest issues is you can be legal if you can afford it, right? And like if you've got an eighth of weed on you and you've got a prescription that costs you 300-400 quid, you're on your way, sir. But if you've got an eighth of weed on you and you're like, this is for my back or my, you know, my problem, but have you got a prescription? Like, no, you like, off, yeah, fine, prison. Like, that's bullshit. Like that's a huge amount of social inequity, and it doesn't sit well with me. So I think a lot of people are feeling the same now. Like, and also, you know, patients aren't happy sometimes with the quality of the weed they're getting. You know, they're not being treated very well. They're never experiencing
Something the medical weeds, lad. Have you seen it?
I'm a patient.
What do you think of the quality?
Oh, I mean, some have been nice, but obviously it's all irradiated, so it's very dry. And because it's meant for vapes only, you know, it's supposed to smoke it. Some that's been nice, and I bought 2 different types. I can't remember the names. One was about, to give you a range, I think it was between 23 and 27% THC, and the other one was between 15 and 18%. And the higher THC one was a lot nicer.
Yeah, quite strong.
A lot of flavours there.
No, it's better than it was, right? But I think a lot of patients, especially, are like, we can do better. So I think, you know, a lot of people are saying like, look, if I'm a registered patient and, you know, it's been accepted by a medical professional that I should be consuming cannabis, you know, like that, let me grow my own, and then I can be in control of my supply and I can afford it.
Makes complete sense, doesn't it?
Until someone actually comes out and goes, we're only in it for the money, they can't really argue against it. And I think that's a good argument. There was some talk that we had about kind of whether the social club model could come to the UK even in a medical capacity. So for the people that kind of fall in between the I can afford it, but I'm eligible for it. So maybe there's some stuff about that. But yeah, there does seem to be, for me, like speaking to people, there's a bit of an undercurrent of discontent, and that seems to be mobilising now. Whereas for the past, I mean, COVID probably didn't help, right? You know, you can't go out and protest. Well, you can't get people together to discuss
They're
ideas
trying to stop that a bit.
because, yeah, well, I mean, fuck that. But I mean, yeah, I could go on about that. But this is CBD, cannabis, and psychedelics podcast, right? This is fuck the government. Oh man, there's 2 hours there. There's 2 hours there. But anyway, so right, so the people are happy. People are getting together. People are sharing ideas, and I do think if people, I mean, you know, kind of if people can come together and get those ideas into something cohesive. I mean, anything that anyone's doing in terms of the activism of cannabis, get in touch with us. You know, get on Leafie, get on the contact form and tell us. We will support you. We'll get behind you. You know, we have, you know, over 500,000 people reading our website every year. We will push it to them, and we will make sure that people are aware of your campaign, and we'll get behind it, because at the end of the day, you know, we're privileged enough to have an audience. We want progress, and we can't come up with all the ideas, and also we've got to kind of remain semi-impartial. We're always going to get behind a cannabis campaign. But we need people to come to us with, you know, ideas, activism, and we'll shout about it.
How do you find all your articles? Is it just
We have really good writers that you know, we've worked with some incredible people over the years. We have contributors who are regular. We have people who just pitch in like occasional ideas. We're always looking for new perspectives, because if it was just up to Kevin and I, you would just get our stream of consciousness.
Has a nice blog.
Yeah. Whereas we want fresh perspective, we want outside voices. I mean, we've always kind of worked quite strongly with female writers because cannabis can be a bit cock heavy, right? It can be a bit bro-centric. So we want to kind of diversify that voice. Kind of people from different backgrounds, LGBTQI, people of color, like all welcome. We'll listen to any idea based on the idea, and we'll publish it, and we try and we try and spread the word out, like amongst different voices and ideas.
We're giving voices to people that don't usually get heard.
Yeah,
especially in this scene.
we did it a couple of years ago. We did a competition for young writers. Like, it was Lottie's idea, to be fair. Like, I've got to give her a credit. So like people who are still studying at uni, and the quality of like content we got was amazing. Like, we had some real device stories from like aliens to like the history of the pot brownie and like everything, and we ended up publishing like I think 3 or 4 of them because the quality was so good. We made sure that everyone got like a bit of money or a prize or whatever for contributing, and it was
Nice.
we should pick that up really, because it was a really good little thing. It's not just about what we think; it's about what the community thinks. So yeah, want to get out there in the. I mean, we kind of grew in COVID times. We had to, because that was we got to start getting busy 2019, 2020. 2 years in
All dreams.
just working from bedrooms and that, and everyone was online and doing nothing. But we want to get us do events. We want to do maybe something physical that people can read.
What kind of events like?
Essentially taking the content that we do and bringing it to more people, to like kind of open it up to like having like a discussion where you've got a couple of experts riffing ideas, throwing questions out to the floor, people throwing their ideas back, or kind of getting hands on with stuff. There's only so much you can do digitally, and there's loads you can do, but like, I mean, my creative juice is just flowing when I want to do something.
Yeah, of course.
But we want to do a print magazine.
Yeah, I'd love to get loads of print. It's something we're looking at, right?
100%. It's something we really want to do.
Because you said you're so much
It's looking hold, and it's so nice instead of being on your phone all the time. You want to just
bit more depth, right? To have more pictures, you can have more detail,
Exactly.
you tell more of a story.
outside, nice sunny day, read a magazine, smoke a joint, and that's exactly what some people want. And also,
It's kind of like vinyl, right? Vinyl came back. Like, I mean, I got mates with DJs and they were skipping vinyl at one point. Like, they were like, fuck this, like CDJs of the future, then obviously USBs. People are like, why am I taking up a whole bedroom? And now people are like, well, why not back, man? And then, like, I think the same's happening with print magazines. Like, people are going like, yeah, I read stuff online all the time, but I want, like Kev says, I want to go and sit outside with a cup of tea, smoke a little weed, and immerse myself in like 2,000
No,
words.
kind of like, it doesn't, when you read something, it just goes into your brain a bit in a different way. Like, you know what I mean? It's like when you read like a continuous stream of bloody information online, it's just a different kind of vibe. Having a thing in front of you, like exactly like you say, sit down a sunny day in the garden or in the park, whatever, it was you.
more invested in it. It's actually something to do.
But also, we can tell longer stories in a magazine. Like, that, with Leafie, we have to kind of keep, because like you say, you're distracted. Like, you're reading something on your phone, a little notification comes up, you're halfway through, you're like, we fuck it up.
Yeah.
Like, with a magazine, we can tell a longer story. We can use not better pictures, but we can use more pictures. We can tell a story visually. We can bring all these different elements that you can't do on just a single kind of webpage.
Yeah.
And that's kind of, I think that's this next logical step for us at least.
And as well, you can't be clogging out a screen with pictures.
Yeah, that's it.
So if you do the magazine, definitely still stock it here, man.
Launch party in here. Got the decks.
Emily's always wanted me to do a launch
No,
party.
we could do a joint thing. Like,
We could get these going. I don't know if we've actually shown these on the podcast yet, but we've had them all over our Insta. If you follow us,
Are they loaded already?
yeah, and ready to go.
do you want to? Yeah, you too.
Right, how do we turn on?
Just press down on the
All
globe.
right, like just like that.
Nice.
Hold it down.
How cool is this?
They're amazing.
We've got to do the chairs.
Tastes incredible.
So what's that remedy cut?
Oh, we're swapping.
Using cannabis terpenes as well, the actual derived ones. No botanical ones. But yeah, they're doing well for us. People love the flavour. And this delivery system is really nice as well.
I mean, it's got a bit of theatre to it, right?
Totally.
It's quite fun to do a shot of vape.
Yeah.
Like, it's quite funny, but the glass I think really helps because
It cools it down.
yeah.
To get good
Right, if
flavour.
you'd have told me the flavours before the stream before, I would have said honey breadfruit is basically where I want to be.
Yeah.
That one.
That's Remedy Kush, yeah. Your one is, the one that you had at first was the honey grapefruit.
That's really like earthy, some really nice flavours in it.
I can actually feel the CBD in this.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it's because it's the real terps.
Yeah,
And then,
spectrum.
Yeah, we're in a full spectrum.
I mean, I can see where isolate has its you know, like with the 4 or 5 guys, right? They were essentially professional athletes. They can't be testing for nothing. So, you know, you get in that circumstance, I can see why, you know, an isolate would work. But most people need, if not broad, but
We do a bit of both, to be honest. Like, we've had so many people that wouldn't buy the full spectrum because they're getting tested at work. And then for athletes stuff, that's even the next kind of like level above. But yeah, I'm not really down with isolate, to be honest.
it's got its place in the world, but it shouldn't be the only thing people can get.
but I think terps are just as important as well because
People don't think standard
when
terms.
people just have that, it might have a full spectrum product even, but if there's no terpenes in there, that's not actually full spectrum. Yeah, it's like they are part of it. They are part of the entourage effect. And like they're the carrier.
Well, the medicinal, you know, the existing essential oils, and people have been using aromatherapy for thousands of years, right?
In my lyric, when people come in here and ask me about them, I'll be like, well, you take lavender before bed? Why is that? Because of the terpenes in that.
Exactly, right? Again, we've not long published this thing about the science of cannabis smell. So, you know, if you are watching this, just jump on our Instagram and just yeah, that's it. I mean, obviously, we're so embedded in everything. We just, you know, we're riffing about things that people like this, and this is why Leafie exists, right? To try and kind of get people to understand, you know, like what is a terpene?
Yeah.
You know, go and find out, go and Google it, and educate yourself. Because, like I say, these are important things. You know, the medical benefits of terpenes, and we just did a news article actually about it, and it was a study where, in the US, they were kind of collating kind of self-reported use of cannabis and like what strain or chemovar they were consuming, but they did it to try and validate the need for a directory of chemovars and like kind of what terpenes are in there, because they found that it was the terpene content, not the cannabinoid content, that produced the best therapeutic effects. So like people with pain were reporting certain chemovars, and then when they researched those chemovars, they had a dominant terpene profile that was associated with pain or anxiety or whatever. So, you know, again, you know, it comes right down to the cannabis. It's like it's not just a case of get some bud. You know, you need to, like, this what we could have if we had a nice legal industry where people could go in, speak to a bud tender and say, right, you want to wind down, you need this one. You want to get hyped up, you need this one. You got a bit of bad back, mate, this is your one.
About 5-10 years ago, I'd hear generally Americans talking about terpenes and I only smoke sativa at this time of day, or when I'm into my art, I go and smoke this kind of strain, and I'd be like, I buy the weed, I smoke the weed.
And he's talking about this, like, when we were 18, you rang a guy up who had weed. Yeah. Like, all right, mate, got any bud? Yeah. Like, you didn't even say what you got. Just go, there you go, booked off.
I guess this like brings us up onto like something we like to ask everyone.
Do a quick fire round.
How do you guys roll your joint? How do you bill it?
So, I mean, I started off, because I wasn't smoking joints because everyone had tobacco in them, I was just going straight onto basically fucking bucket bongs, and then kind of went on to packs. Obviously, I'm into the packs now, and like that, because it's just small, it's convenient. And also edibles, man. Love edibles. Love a brownie, love a gummy.
Yeah, you make use of the app for the packs.
Yeah, because I've got it set on like a middle temperature, somewhere between, I think it's between, I can't remember if it's second or third. The fourth was too hot. So I think it's third and fourth I'm at, so I've got my own little custom temperature. But yeah, that's me. Yeah, I don't skin up. It's the short answer.
So yeah, I mean, yeah, I've been started with Nix's bucket bongs back in the day, the late 90s. Straight onto the weed with tobacco until 10 years ago now when I had my daughter, and since then I've been smoking joints pure. I do have pride in my joints. I probably wouldn't smoke anyone else's joints just because I really like mine. But you guys seem like you smoke similar joints to me. You know, I like my joints tight, but not too tight and neat. I don't like them baggy or. I mean, I am quite particular. I'm very particular with my papers.
What papers you were?
At the moment, I'm on the Leafie papers. You know, how come we haven't seen them in the shop yet?
We only picked them up as followers. We started off just like, let's get some as a promo thing, like, you know, hand them out as flyers with the logo on, little QR code in the back. You know, here's some papers for free. Visitors, because what? Imagine you're expanding this. Someone gives you a flyer, you're like, yeah, whatever. You know, but like you get some papers, you're like, right, put them in my pocket, save it later. You chilled out back at the apartment hotel, you skin up, like, so what are these doing? And it, we put a track on the QR code. It fucking worked, man. We did it. Yeah.
I like the Blazer Susans. I like the Africa Sugars. Which other ones? So I'm quite particular about my roaches as well. So at the moment I like the elements that you have here because I don't like them too thick. because they just roll too big, and you end up with a bigger roach end than a...
Quite as high roach, but not too small.
Also, what are your go-to munchies?
Oh, I mean crisps. I mean, I've got a fucking problem with crisps, man. Like, yeah, I love crisps. Start of crisp pod.
I'm into
Yeah, what's your munchie?
Yeah.
So my girlfriend Emily, mother of my children, she makes amazing banana loaves. So like chocolate banana loaf, or we eat a lot of organic food at home. So she can get like organic flapjack, organic banana loaf.
Yeah, you know what? I literally got a banana chocolate and peanut butter vegan loaf made for me because it was my birthday yesterday. My missus just put it on now today, so it's actually in the back if you want a bit.
Get in there.
But yeah, one of the other things I wanted to speak to you about was what is like so on your whole journey so far doing Leafie, what's been like your proudest moment and what's been like your most memorable, like hard things that you had to face? Like,
Well, the hard thing that we had to face is social media the whole way. Yeah, we've had so many highs. We've been in House of Lords.
Yeah,
Like for House
yeah,
of
we
Lords.
liked the House of Lords a few weeks, it's a few months ago now. That was great. We just had the natural in they're like the face. So Simon Doherty, who is like their drugs writer, kind of sent us some questions over about an article he was writing about Cali weed. You know, this is an internationally recognised magazine and a really good journalist asking us for a little bit of like input. That's great. You know, that shows that the hard work's paying off. We're on GB News last year. I mean, I rang my mate Irish, who's basically a very principled man. He's way more principled than I am. Like, I was like, what? Like, I'm not doing it. You know, do you agree? And he was like, look, you know, you could, if you really did buy The Guardian, you'd jump at it, right? But the people who read The Guardian, you're not trying to change their opinion. You know, you're being asked about, it was when all the Sadiq Khan thing came out, you know, about the decriminalisation pirate. And so I went on GB News and it obviously gave me a bit of a hard time, but like, the people who watch GB News, they're the ones we've got to change their opinion of. They're the ones who are like, fuck cannabis. And then like, actually they listen to me speak articulately about the benefits, you know, reducing the strain on the health service and, you know, the tax revenue and actually how we could protect the kids as, you know, from being exposed to drugs they shouldn't be taking. And actually, if we could change one person by doing that, I mean, as much as it's a right-wing like bullshit, I'll go on there and I said my bit. So that was, you know, that was a nice nod as well. You know, getting a little bit of a nod in voice. It's just all these little like bits. It's normally like just a little hat tips. Like I think that's probably like the proudest moment. It's the little ones that just little nods. And like, you know, it's not a big
Being recognised.
Not
that we've actually.
It's not a big
Nice.
not a big thing. It's just a culmination of just these little, you know, notches that just say keep going, keep going, keep going. Because it's hard, man.
Keeping motivation going is crazy. Like sometimes with this, like, how many times have we spoken about it?
But then like something will happen. Like I'll be like, oh, I've had enough. Can't be arsed. I'm tired. And I'm giving it all up. And then someone will ring up and go, oh, can we do this or can we do that? Or can you give us your opinion on that? And it's just like, God, I hear the fuck.
it's difficult when you're passionate as well because it's like, it is something that, I mean, I think we can all say we care a lot about. Like, it is something that, and when you really think about it, it is something worth fighting for. It's something worth going through a lot of.
So these little like crews doing their little thing, whether it's a shop, a magazine, an event, whatever. All these little things in years to come, people will be like, fucking hell, they were needed, you know, and to get to the position where
Pioneers.
yeah. So of course, some sort of like, it's the push that's needed.
Someone had to do it, else there wouldn't be anything.
I mean, it'd be nice to look back one day and go, like, you know, when the law does change and say, you know, we did that. We all helped that do that. And like, I've got a little lad, he's 10, and I tell him everything. You know, he knows about Leafie and stuff. Like, I'm always fucking lecturing about medical cannabis before he goes to school. Like, so if he watches this, man, I know what he's looking at me like. But you know, like it's the same thing. Like, you know, got to fucking educate people, and so they can go out and spread that word, and that's it. And you know, if we all keep doing it, you know, those the groups of people that we're educating, they get bigger and bigger, and they start overlapping, and then those groups have conversations amongst themselves. So, and that's what I mean about the activism thing. It seems like all those groups just shrunk to nothing. They're all bubbling up again, and they're all overlapping, and they're all sharing ideas. And I think, you know, that's kind of how we do change things. You know, it's no one's, you know, the Daily Mail or the Daily Mirror aren't going to get behind a campaign. Like, you know, those days are gone where like the Independent or the Guardian can say, right, we've got a campaign to legalise cannabis. So it's got to be up to us, guys.
There's no one actually speaking about it on a proper level. There's no one actually.
The culture.
Yeah, as a culture and as a like, and also a bit more political, a little bit more like talking about the ins and outs of what it is to be a CBD company in the UK or even a cannabis company.
To even like have a blog about it or a podcast about it or anything, just to kind of like, when we go into Spotify or Apple, we have to like word our podcast in a certain way. We're talking about medicinal herbs. You can't tell them we're talking about cannabis because they're straight away like, nah, blocked.
Rich days.
Stupid shit like that, yeah. You have to like just just the little
YouTube will let you talk about cannabis.
YouTube, you can talk about it,
You
but
can't monetize it. You could have 1 million views. They're not giving you a single penny of the revenue from
it's
the
crazy. Like, I mean, that's what I'm more into right now. Is a podcast. Like, we've done a podcast last year, just talking to people, having a laugh, being a bit more jokey about stuff. But this year, I just want to talk to people in the scene,
Yeah.
and also just like to kind of like discuss the business side of it as well. You guys run a website, a blog, so like just being able to do like advertise, like paid sponsored post.
We can't.
Like, it's hard. You can't do it. You can't do it at all. It's like
We don't even sell anything. And it's like, you're breaking our rules for selling cannabis. We're like,
we're not selling shit.
I mean, like in a minute, we've got a thing on Instagram, and it's like we're restricting your reach because of the edit.
Weird. That's they literally got the same. We got the same notification. They're like, this post here is kind of like dubious. They're saying like this post might be like breaking our guidelines, but it's not quite. So we're restricting your views now. We're not going to send it out to anyone. And then the next notification I get was, do you want to use the same post and boost it and sponsor it?
Here we go. We've reviewed your request.
Oh, what did it say?
No. Some of your content does not follow our guidelines.
The annoying thing is no one really knows exactly what is the guideline. You know what I mean? Because I get this thing, we post something about the mushrooms, and they'll be like, you're selling drugs. It's like, no, it's not fucking drug.
on every single post that we have, there's about 20 people saying, I buy my medication from this guy.
Bots.
Oh, they're all just bots.
Yeah, they're all bots. I mean, the content's exactly the same. It's just a different username.
Well, the thing is, like, that then also is their argument towards, or you're creating a space, you're creating an audience for those types of people to be posting, oh, buy your weed off this person. Do you know what I mean?
Like, Telegram's ridiculous.
Yeah.
Like, we had a group on Telegram that got cloned. Someone used our name, copied it, and it was us basically putting out menus and shotting on it, saying it's us. And we were like, what the fuck? Had to cancel our thing. Because then, like, a couple hundred people on there, whatever. It was just fucking an open place to discuss. If you've got a problem, come and chat to us here, or if you want to ask a question. And it was a nice little vibe, but yeah, then we got hijacked. We got literally hijacked and fucking, we're like, fucking hell. What are we going to do about that?
What can you do about it?
Getting into the space like 6 years ago with the shop, I was always a smoker for years anyway before that, but just getting into space, it felt like there was loads of people like doing their thing. There was many that I felt like there was more events in London, especially. And then it kind of like dissipated. It felt like almost, I don't know, maybe because like socials cracked down on it, so you wouldn't see it as much. So it's like you can't see what's going on because maybe there are still things going on, but there's no one being able to like post up. But now like, I know what you mean. It feels like everyone's kind of getting together a little bit more.
Yeah.
But I don't know, man. I just think by the time this comes to a head and it becomes legal in this country, the corporates will be so embedded into it that it's not going to be. I've got this kind of rose-tinted glasses. I think it's going to be really like happy and free. Yeah, it's going to be some like corporates that are running the whole shit.
To me, we've got to have grow your own.
Yeah.
Got to,
Starts
so
there.
the corporates can have whatever they want as long as we can grow it ourselves. Because then that's the balance. If you want to grow it yourself, fine. You want to grow tomatoes yourself, fine. But if you want to go and buy them from Waitrose, they go buy them from Waitrose. You can have a choice.
Look at alcohol. You know, you can brew your own wine in your basement and, you know, it tastes like piss. Or you can go and spend 500 quid on a bottle of champagne. And everything in the middle exists, right? And that can happen with cannabis. We can have grow your own. We can have social clubs. We can have dispensaries that serve the general public. And we can have medical cannabis clinics for people that need that little bit more guidance or reassurance. All of those can exist if we let them. You know, like the government doesn't have to be greedy and say we're just having this slice of the pie. You know, like, let's let everyone do what they want and find their own place in it. And, you know, everyone wins that way. When the conversation does start changing and when, you know, the narrative does start looking a bit more positive towards, like, actually there is a goal in sight, that's when the real fight starts. That's when, you know, the likes of us have to say, yeah, we back this, but with these rules, you know, like, you're not gonna screw us all over. You know, we'll hopefully, you know, as kind of our audiences all start growing, have that influence where we can get people to say, actually, yeah, I agree with that. Get the petitions or get the marches going and stuff like that, but God knows how long away that is.
I speak to my dad, another advocate for the plant for years and years and years, and when I was young, he'd be like, yeah, by the time you're this age, it'll probably be legal. And
5 years.
5 years, it's infectious.
5 years ago, someone told me 5 years. If anyone asks me, I say it's 5 years.
On that level of hoping that the laws change soon, yeah, man, just want to say thank you for coming down.
No, thanks for having me.
Problem at all, yeah. Thank you for having us. It's been great.
Check this shit out. Great website, great magazine. Like, yeah, lots of great articles.
Plug your socials again.
Team Leafie, leafie.co.uk, and, you know, equally, like, when we share this to our audience, if you're not on the other side already, you should be.
Yeah, exactly. And if you're in Notting Hill, you've got to come down here. It's an incredible place.
We're Otherside London.
Yep.
On pretty much everything. If you're not already, make sure you are like.
Like and subscribe.
So yeah, trying to normalize cannabis in some way, some form. So man, just jump on the socials, jump on here. Yeah man, jump on Team Leafie.
Cheers, guys. Thanks for watching.